Ancient humans found a flower that could erase pain, and then erase the person feeling it. Imagine a wounded hunter screaming while a healer cuts a stone point from his thigh. There is no anesthesia, no hospital, no way to stop the pain except holding him down. Then someone places a bitter drop from a green poppy capsule inside his mouth. The screaming stops, his muscles loosen, his eyes close. For the first time in 2 nights, he looks peaceful. Then his breaths grow farther apart. One breath, a long silence, another breath, an even longer silence. The healer has discovered a substance powerful enough to silence agony, but nobody knows whether it has also begun silencing the body. Give too little, and the injured man keeps screaming. Give too much, and he may never wake. The difference is hidden inside the same white drop. That was the terrifying secret ancient humans uncovered inside the opium poppy. Its seeds could feed a family, its oil could be useful, its flower could appear harmless, but damage the living capsule, and a milky latex emerged containing chemicals capable of changing pain, sleep, coughing, digestion, pleasure, dependence, and breathing. The plant did not heal the wound, it changed what the brain felt. And once humans discovered that difference, they possessed something more dangerous than an ordinary poison. A poison is avoided. Opium could save the person who used it today, then make that same person desperate for it tomorrow. Yet no artifact preserves the first dose. No skeleton tells us whether someone died from the injury or from the substance meant to relieve it. Poppy seeds appear in prehistoric settlements thousands of years before written descriptions, but seeds alone cannot reveal whether people wanted food, oil, medicine, ritual intoxication, or all four. So how did humans discover opium? How did they separate an edible seed from the powerful chemistry hidden inside the plant? How did they learn to approach a substance whose successful dose and fatal dose could look exactly the same? And why did this fragile flower become valuable enough to cross seas, enter royal medicine, and follow the dead into their graves? The answer begins with the most important distinction in this entire story. Ancient people did not first discover a drug. They discovered a useful plant. The opium poppy, Papaver somniferum, produces rounded capsules filled with many tiny seeds. Mature seeds can be eaten and pressed for oil. The seeds themselves do not naturally contain the alkaloid-rich latex responsible for opium's strongest effects, although damage during growth or harvesting can contaminate their surfaces. The powerful chemistry lies mainly in the plant's living tissues and milky internal latex. When an unripe capsule is damaged, that latex appears. As it contacts air, it darkens and thickens. Raw opium contains a complex mixture of alkaloids, including morphine, codeine, thebaine, noscapine, and papaverine. Ancient humans knew none of those names. They saw one bitter material producing several different changes. Pain weakened, sleep deepened, coughing could become quieter, the intestines slowed, fear or agitation might soften. A person could feel detached from an injury that remained physically present. Then the same person could become nauseated, confused, unresponsive, or dangerously slow to breathe. This was not a simple plant effect. It was a collection of invisible effects arriving together, and the plant did not create them for human medicine. Alkaloids are part of the poppy's own biology and may help protect it from organisms that would damage it. Humans learned to take a chemical defense evolved inside a plant and redirect it toward the human nervous system. The first contact may have been completely accidental. A forager crushes a green capsule. A child tastes the bitter moisture. An animal bites the plant and begins moving strangely. A person collecting seeds touches the latex, then touches food. Someone places plant material against an aching tooth because its bitterness suggests strength. Most experiments produce nothing useful. Some produce sickness. One produces sleep. The first lesson may therefore have been a warning rather than a cure. Do not eat this part. Keep children away from that plant. Animals behave differently after biting it. Dangerous plants attract attention because they prove they can change the body. If a large amount causes sickness, a smaller amount may produce another effect. That does not mean prehistoric people followed a neat scientific process. It means repeated exposure creates comparisons. Who touched the plant? Which part was damaged? How long before the person became sleepy? Did pain change? Did the person recover? Did the same result happen again? A remembered pattern turns accident into knowledge. But one success was not discovery. It was temptation. Imagine the hunter survives the opening scene. He wakes after several hours. The stone point is gone. The wound still exists, but he slept through the worst part of the treatment. Everyone remembers the bitter drop. The next injured person receives it sooner. Now imagine that second patient stops breathing. The camp has two conflicting memories attached to the same plant. It saved one person from unbearable suffering. It may have killed another. The substance becomes valuable precisely because it remains frightening. A harmless plant can be shared freely. A plant capable of changing consciousness is more likely to be surrounded by specialists, warnings, ritual, secrecy, and rules. Knowledge now means more than recognizing the flower. Which part matters? When is the capsule useful? How should the material be stored? Who is already weak? Who has reacted badly before? How much was used last time? What signs mean the person is sleeping safely? What signs mean breathing is failing? Ancient healers had no standardized dose, chemical test, oxygen monitor, or antidote. They judged using experience, body size, age, illness, strength, preparation, and response. Raw plant material also varied. Genetics, soil, weather, maturity, damage, and storage could change its chemistry. Two portions that looked alike might not act alike. Every treatment remained an experiment conducted on someone already suffering. A healer who could reduce pain possessed a power few others could imitate safely. Before opium became a tradition, however, humans had to keep the plant close enough to study. Archaeology finds that relationship in seeds. Direct radiocarbon dating places opium poppy remains at Neolithic sites across Western Europe between roughly 5,900 and 3,500 BCE. Evidence indicates the plant was present in the Mediterranean by the middle of the 6th millennium BCE, moved west of the Rhine during the early 5th millennium, and reached the Western Alps soon afterward. This spread matters because the poppy was not simply one more crop moving unchanged from Southwest Asia with wheat and barley. Recent genetic and morphometric research increasingly supports a Western Mediterranean origin for cultivation, with Papaver setigerum as the closest wild relative of cultivated Papaver somniferum. The exact domestication process remains debated. Wild populations, cultivated forms, and plants that escaped cultivation can blur the genetic picture. But the emerging story suggests early farmers in the Western Mediterranean adopted a local plant and helped carry it into the broader Neolithic world. Why choose it? The safest answer is food. Poppy seeds are nutritious and rich in oil. A community does not need to know about morphine to value the plant. People may have gathered wild capsules, scattered seeds near settlements, protected useful plants from weeds, and carried seed when moving. The plants producing more retained seeds or useful capsules received an accidental advantage because humans collected from them. Domestication can begin before anyone intends to redesign a species, but food created repeated contact with the capsule. Repeated contact created opportunity. A farmer waiting for seeds to mature handles hundreds of poppy heads. Some are dry, some remain green. A tool slips, a capsule cracks, white latex appears. The discovery requires no special ceremony. It requires someone to notice that this part of the plant behaves differently from the seed inside it. That is the first major reversal. Humans may have cultivated the poppy for one reason and uncovered opium while pursuing another. The seed brought the plant into the settlement. The wound on the capsule revealed the drug, but even then, noticing drowsiness was not the same as understanding pain relief. Ancient medicine was built around urgent problems: toothache, broken bones, burns, childbirth, embedded weapons, joint pain, severe coughing, diarrhea, infected wounds, dying patients who could not be cured but could still suffer. Many remedies worked externally. They covered, cleaned, heated, cooled, compressed, or protected. Opium offered something qualitatively different. It could alter suffering from inside the body. The person still had a broken bone, the nerves still carried signals, but the brain's response changed. To the observer, it could look as though the pain itself had been removed. That illusion made the plant extraordinary. It also made it easy to overestimate. A patient sleeping quietly may appear improved even while the illness worsens. A cough becoming silent does not mean the infection is gone. Diarrhea slowing can help prevent fluid loss, but it can also hide symptoms. A dying person becoming peaceful may be receiving mercy or moving closer to death. Opium could separate appearance from reality. That is why the second discovery was more difficult than the first. People had to learn that relief was not cure. The plant could make a wound survivable by allowing rest or treatment. It could also make danger harder to see. One patient wakes and recovers. Another sleeps through the moment help might have been possible. The substance gains a reputation shaped by both outcomes. Sleep itself already carried mystery. A sleeping person lies still, enters dreams, and returns with experiences nobody else witnessed. Death resembles sleep, but offers no return. A plant that could push a conscious person toward that border would easily gather spiritual meaning. It might be associated with prophecy, healing, gods, mourning, or controlled passage between worlds. We cannot assign one ritual explanation to every prehistoric poppy seed or later opium vessel. Different societies could treat the same substance as food, medicine, sacred material, pleasure, danger, or taboo. But a plant capable of changing pain and consciousness would never remain only an agricultural curiosity. It would attract stories because stories help humans control what they cannot see. Then the body revealed another hidden cost. The first dose may work strongly. Repeated exposure can produce tolerance, meaning more substance is needed to create the same effect. Dependence can develop, making the body react when use stops. The person who first sought relief from injury may later seek relief from the absence of the drug. Pain, restlessness, sickness, sleeplessness, and craving can pull the user back. Ancient humans did not know about opioid receptors or neuroadaptation. They could still observe the pattern. The patient asks again. The previous amount no longer calms them. Without the substance, they become distressed. They promise to stop after one more use. The medicine begins producing part of the suffering it appears to solve. This is the third discovery inside opium. The first was sedation. The second was pain relief. The third was return. A poison threatens once. Dependence can reorganize a life. The danger did not erase opium's value. A world without modern anesthesia contained suffering difficult to imagine. Removing a damaged limb, cutting infected tissue, setting a severe fracture, treating major burns, and enduring prolonged disease could become impossible if the patient could not remain still. A pain-reducing substance might allow intervention. Sleep could conserve strength. Cough suppression could provide rest. Slowed intestinal movement could sometimes reduce life-threatening fluid loss. For a person who could not be cured, sedation could make the final hours less agonizing. The same biological action created both medical usefulness and lethal risk. That is why opium resisted every simple category humans tried to place around it. Medicine, poison, sacrament, pleasure, trade good, all could be true. The result depended on dose, person, purpose, preparation, and circumstance. But archaeology creates another trap. Pottery can retain chemical residues. Images may resemble capsules. Written symbols may name plants. Burials may contain specialized containers. Each type of evidence answers only one question. Seeds prove presence. Large quantities may suggest cultivation or food processing. Residues show that particular chemicals entered a vessel. Burial context suggests social meaning. None reveals the first discovery. None proves that every community growing poppies consumed opium. A seed in a settlement may be food waste, stored crop, accidental contamination, a weed, medicine, or material intended for oil. This distinction is essential. The title asks how humans discovered opium. Archaeology often shows where the plant traveled, not exactly what people understood about it. The spread of seeds and the spread of drug knowledge may have followed different routes. One community could grow poppies for food without using latex. Another could receive prepared opium through trade without cultivating the plant. A healer could carry techniques farther than farmers carried seeds. A trader could move the substance while hiding how it was produced. Agricultural knowledge, medicinal knowledge, and ritual knowledge do not necessarily travel together. This makes the long silence between Neolithic seeds and later direct chemical evidence less mysterious. The plant was present early. Proof of opium use is much harder to preserve. The clearest archaeological chemical evidence comes from Tel Yehud in modern Israel. Researchers examined 22 ceramic vessels placed in late Bronze Age burials dated roughly between 1550 and 1300 BCE. Several contained opioid alkaloids or related degradation products consistent with opium. The result matters because it moves beyond shape and speculation. A substance from the poppy had entered vessels deposited with the dead. Some opium may have been stored in larger jars and transferred into smaller vessels for immediate use. But the chemistry cannot tell us the complete ritual. Was opium consumed by mourners, administered to someone dying, mixed with another drink, handled by ritual specialists, placed as an offering, used medicinally before burial and left behind afterward? The grave preserves containers, not voices. The correct conclusion is powerful but limited. By the late Bronze Age, opium was being prepared, transported, stored, and used in a funerary context within a connected Eastern Mediterranean world. That means the plant's secret had become an organized product. Cypriot base ring juglets found across the region have rounded bodies and narrow necks, sometimes compared with inverted poppy capsules. For years, scholars proposed that their shape advertised opium, but residue studies on some similar vessels identified perfumed oils instead, proving that visual resemblance alone was unreliable. Tel Yehud strengthened the opium connection because chemical evidence appeared in an assemblage containing imported and local vessels. It still did not prove that every capsule-shaped juglet held the drug. Containers can be reused. A recognizable design can carry different products. A symbol can outlive the original meaning. The evidence teaches the same lesson as the first healer's experience. Appearance is not enough. You must examine what is hidden inside. By the Bronze Age, opium could move through trade networks connecting Cyprus, the Levant, Egypt, Anatolia, and other Mediterranean regions. A small amount could carry high value because its effect was concentrated. Grain feeds. Oil burns or nourishes. Opium changes the person consuming it. That difference encouraged control. Traders needed containers and trusted routes. Ritual specialists could claim authority over access. Rulers could receive rare substances as prestige goods. The drug's power did not lie only in chemistry. It lay in scarcity, secrecy, and the ability to alter another human being. Control over pain can become control over people. A healer decides who receives relief. A temple decides when altered consciousness is sacred. A trader decides the price. A ruler decides whether the substance is gift, medicine, or restricted privilege. The poppy entered politics because suffering is universal and relief is valuable. Yet every wider distribution created more opportunities for misuse. The person taking opium for pain may continue after the injury heals. The person seeking sleep may need increasing amounts. The person selling it benefits from return customers. Ancient societies may have recognized dependence without possessing a modern concept of addiction. They could see lives reorganized around repeated use. They could also misunderstand it as weakness, curse, divine possession, or moral failure. The chemistry remained invisible, so culture supplied explanations. This invisibility made opium uniquely difficult to control. A knife wounds from outside. Fire burns where everyone can see it. Opium changes breathing inside a sleeping person. The critical moment can pass quietly. Modern medicine can measure a purified dose, monitor respiration, support ventilation, and reverse opioid overdose with specific medication. Ancient healers had none of those protections. They watched the chest, listened for breath, tried to wake the patient, waited. Sometimes the patient returned. Sometimes the sleep became death. That is why the first line of this story is not merely dramatic. It describes the central pharmacological contradiction that made opium both precious and terrifying. The molecules responsible for analgesia can also depress the brainstem systems supporting breathing. The margin between desired effect and disaster changes with concentration, tolerance, health, age, and other substances. Ancient users could discover tendencies. They could never remove uncertainty from raw opium. Return to the hunter in the opening. The healer watches his chest rise, then stop. Then rise again. The wound has been treated, the screaming is gone, but the danger has moved from the thigh to somewhere nobody can touch. The camp waits through the night. At sunrise, the hunter opens his eyes. This time, the plant becomes a miracle. The healer remembers the amount, the patient, the preparation, and the signs. Seeds are saved. The useful flower is planted closer to home. The story spreads. Years later, another healer repeats the treatment. The patient does not wake. Now the miracle acquires a boundary. Use less. Watch longer. Do not trust stillness. Do not confuse silence with safety. That warning may save more lives than the original success. So how did ancient humans discover opium? Not in one moment, not through one healer, and not by immediately understanding the white latex. They first recognized a plant useful for seeds and oil. Cultivation brought it into repeated contact with human hands. Damage revealed a bitter sap. Accidents showed that the sap changed wakefulness. Experiment linked that effect to pain. Treatment revealed that relief was not cure. Deaths revealed that sleep could deepen into respiratory failure. Repeated use revealed tolerance and dependence. Trade transformed private knowledge into a valuable product. Ritual and medicine created rules around access. Burials preserved the containers after the people and their explanations disappeared. Opium was discovered in layers because its chemistry produced contradictions humans could understand only through consequences. The seed nourished. The latex sedated. The drug relieved. The dose endangered. The medicine invited return. Every benefit opened another risk, and every risk made skilled control more valuable. The earliest discoverers never saw a morphine molecule. They did not know why pain softened or why breathing slowed. They knew only that a flower could reach inside a suffering body and turn down the scream. That alone was enough to change medicine. But the darker discovery followed immediately. The plant did not know when enough relief had been given. Only the human did. And sometimes the human learned the answer one breath too late. The hunter's chest rises again. The camp relaxes. The healer does not. They have discovered something no ordinary food or poison could do. It can make unbearable life survivable. It can also make a living person look peacefully dead before death has fully arrived. That is why opium endured for thousands of years. Not because ancient humans solved it, because they never completely could. The same white drop carried mercy, sleep, dependence, and death. And the person holding it always faced the same terrifying question: am I ending the pain or ending the person who feels it?